Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some red pepper, cheese and chive tartlets. So little tartlets that are going to go into bun tins like these, quite shallow little tins. They're very easy to make these. You just make the pastry and then make a filling and put them together and then bake them. Now, I saw the recipe on a television programme that Mary Berry was doing, and so I'll put a link below the video to the original recipe that's on the BBC Food website, but it's quite straightforward. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 175 grams, which is 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons of plain flour, 100 grams, 7 tablespoons of cold unsalted butter which I've cut into cubes, 50 grams, which is 1 3/4 ounces of grated parmesan cheese, 1 medium egg which I have beaten, and 1 gram, 1/4 teaspoon of sweet paprika, or paprika, however you want to call it. And then for the filling I have 175 grams, which is 1 cup roughly, of roasted red peppers, and these were in some oil, so I've drained the oil off, patted them dry and chopped them quite finely. I have 175 grams of grated cheddar cheese, and that's about 2.5 cups. I have 27 grams, which is 1.5 tablespoons of sun-dried tomato paste. Now if you can't find that, just use tomato paste, that would be fine, I'm sure. I have 1 clove of garlic which I have chopped quite finely. I'm going to use 2 large eggs, which will be extra large in the USA. I actually think medium eggs would work, so large eggs in the USA would probably work just as well. That's going to be the setting agent basically for the filling. I have 2 tablespoons of chives which I have chopped quite finely, 200 millilitres, 1/2 cup plus 1/3 cup of double cream, and then I'm going to use some salt and some pepper as well to season. So that's all the ingredients. So the first thing to do is to make our pastry and roll it out. And to make the pastry I'm going to do it in the processor bowl of my immersion blender, and I'm going to put the flour and the parmesan and the paprika into the bowl, and I'm going to add the cold butter in as well. And then I'm going to pulse that until it resembles a sort of fine breadcrumb-like texture. And that's quite good like that. So then I'm going to pour in my beaten egg, and I may have to scrape my bowl down, but I'm going to process this, pulsing it from time to time until it begins to clump together into a dough. And there we are. That is now clumping quite nicely. So I need to tip that out onto my work surface, and I'm simply going to squeeze that into a dough like that, and then I'm going to roll it out so that I can cut out 24 8cm 3-inch rounds basically, but I'm actually going to divide mine into 2 so that I can do it in 2 separate parts. So I've cut that in half, and I'm going to lightly flour my surface. I'm going to take one piece and I'm going to roll that out thin enough that I can cut out 12 circles of 8 centimetres. So I have to re-roll this. I'll cut out some and then re-roll it. But it's going to probably be about 3 millimetres or 1/8 of an inch. And the reason I've cut it in half is so that I'm not actually working the pastry too much. So I think that's rolled quite thinly. So I'm going to cut out some circles. And then with them cut out, I'm going to put them into a greased bunting. Now, I don't think I needed to grease the bunting, but I've done it because I just want to be absolutely sure that they don't stick. And press them down. Like that. And then re-roll the pastry to get enough to fill the 12-hole tin, and then do the same with the second half of the pastry. So I've rolled out my pastry and filled 24 holes on my 2 tins, and I have this little bit of pastry left over, which is good for nothing really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those into my freezer, and I'm going to freeze them for about 20 minutes as I preheat my oven to 200 degrees Celsius, that's 180 Celsius with a fan, 390 Fahrenheit. And then once the oven is preheated, I can take them out of the freezer and we'll fill them. As my oven is preheating, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my eggs into the cream. I'm going to whisk that around. To get the eggs broken. And mixed through. I don't need a lot of air in it. I'm going to add my chives in there as well. And set that to one side. And then I'm going to put my garlic and my sun-dried tomato paste into the peppers. So I'm going to stir those around. And set those to one side. But I'll just put a little bit of salt in and a little bit of pepper. And stir that through, and then do the same with the egg mixture. There's a few more chives can go in. I'll just give that a little whisk. And then everything's ready to go into our tart cases. But I ought to say at this stage, I think in the ingredients I forgot to mention cherry tomatoes, and I've taken, well, these were sort of like mini plum tomatoes, but of the cherry tomato size, and I've taken a number of those and cut them into fine slices because I want to put 3 slices on the top of each one, so I need 72 slices or thereabouts, but however many you want to use is up to you. My sister in Canada, Margaret, said that she wouldn't have the tomatoes on at all, but I'm going to put them on. So we're ready then to fill our cases. Now I have my cases out of the freezer, and I'm going to take my filling and I'm going to divide the pepper filling equally among the 24 cases. And I will adjust it to make sure that they have roughly the same amount in each one. So that's good like that. And then I'm going to take my cheese and I'm just going to put a little bit on the top of each one, ensuring that none of it goes on the pan, because that will burn and stick onto the pan and could make the tarts difficult to get out if it sticks to the pastry as well. And with the cheese on, I'm then going to gently pour in the cream, egg and chive filling. I'm going to do it slowly and allow it to seep down. I don't want to overfill them. And that's good. I have a little bit of my cream and egg mixture left over, but that's fine. So then I'm going to take my cherry tomatoes slices and I'm going to put 3 slices on each tart. Like that. So they're then ready to go into the oven, and I'm going to put them into the oven and I'm going to bake them for 25 minutes. And after 25 minutes the egg should have risen up and the cheese should have melted into the egg, the pastry should have baked through, and I'll take them out of the oven. They will be inflated and they're likely to sink down as they cool down because the egg will deflate, but I'll leave them in the tin for about 5 or 10 minutes, then I'll transfer them to a wire rack and I'll come back and show you the result. I baked the red pepper, cheese and chive tartlets for 25 minutes. They baked very nicely. I took them out of the oven, left them for a couple of minutes, then transferred them to a wire rack. And this is what they look like. Unfortunately there's only 23 here, and that's because I've already eaten one. But they baked up very nicely and nicely baked on the bottom as well, as you can see. So I'll have a taste of that one that I've just picked up. Very, very good. The pastry is perfectly cooked. I'll show you that, if you can see that there, cooked all the way through, nice and juicy with that filling on the bottom, and then the cheesy taste and the sweetness from the tomatoes. Very, very good indeed. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link in the video below, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.